Namaskar, we welcome you all at the literary platform Sahitya Path. You are watching Khamosh Bhook. In the previous episode, we saw that Budhya had gone to the dhaba and was just eating the food given by someone when that person started demanding repayment in his own way. Budhya returned to her hut and collapsed onto the khatia. The old khatia creaked as if scolding her, warning that if she continued to bear such burdens, it too would break, leaving her all alone. When a person's dignity is wounded, the legacy of their ancestors begins to ache within them. Legacy meaning traditional honor, respect, and dignity. The sting of that legacy combined with the misery of the present creates a torment worse than hell. Today, Budhya was enduring that very torment. The lines of the great Hindi poet Bhushan seem to perfectly reflect this moment. ऊंचे घोर मंदिर के अंदर रहनवारी, ऊंचे घोर मंदिर के अंदर रहाती हैं, कंद मूल भोग करें, तीन बेर खाती, तेवे तीन बेर खाती हैं, भूषण शिथिल अंग, विजन डुलाती, तेवे विजन डुलाती हैं, भूषण भनत शिवराज वीर तेरे त्रास, नगन जड़ाती, तेवे नगन जड़ाती हैं. This means that due to the bravery of the valiant Shivaji, the Mughal queens who once lived in grand palaces were now forced to hide in caves. Those who used to feast on the most exquisite delicacies were now surviving on roots and tubers. Those who used to eat 3 full meals a day were now making do with just 3 wild berries. Their bodies, once burdened with heavy jewelry, had now become frail and weak. Those who had servants fanning them all day were now forced to live in desolate places. The same women who once adorned their jewelry with precious gemstones now shivered in a single piece of clothing. Budhya's condition was no different. Humiliated at the hands of a truck driver, she found herself recalling the stories she had heard from her grandfather. Budhya's grandfather was a renowned wrestler. He earned a livelihood from several villages. Any young boys in the village who were interested in wrestling or physical training would come to his akhada to learn. In return, he received a share of their harvest. Since the contributions from multiple villages added up to a significant amount, whether it was a landlord or a common man, everyone treated him with respect. No one dared to challenge him. After all, no one knew when one of his disciples might lose his temper and turn the tables on them. Hence, people avoided conflicts with him. Budhya's grandmother possessed more jewelry than even the wealthiest landowners. In those days, wealth was measured in gold and silver, while land was often left unused. People could live wherever they pleased. Budhya's father had followed the same profession, spending very little time at home. He mostly lived in the villages where he had his earnings, as that was where his livelihood thrived. Even until the 1980s, the wrestling tradition was running smoothly. But then modernity took over and everything started becoming academic. The old ways of learning and practicing gradually lost their significance. As a result, The legacy of Buddha's grandfather, the great wrestler, began to fade. Her hunger showed no signs of subsiding. Lost in these thoughts, Buddha returned to the present. Just as the fire of hunger had barely been quelled with a morsel or two, the vulture's eyes had already set their sights on her, attacking before she could even finish a meal. The day had progressed, and her hunger had become unbearable. She stood up again, but she had no idea where to go next.